I'm Tony Southcutt, and I'm freshly back from the Telluride Horror Show in Telluride, Colorado. Got to see some awesome horror movies up there. I didn't get to go for the whole festival, I wasn't there on Friday, but this was a great little festival, and they covered a lot of really cool horror movies. I really recommend checking this out, especially if you like these littler festivals in cool locations. Anyway, on to the review. Today we're here to talk about Creep 2, the sequel to the 2014 Creep, which starred Mark Duplass and director Patrick Brice, who is actually the main character of that movie. The first movie, we see Mark Duplass as a man claiming to have terminal cancer and is seeking a videographer to document some aspects of his life. He uses guile and manipulation to get people into his home, and it's ambiguous as to what's happening. You don't know if this guy's actually going to hurt anyone, if he's just weird. You don't really know. If you haven't seen that one, stop this here, check it out, and then come back, because there are going to be some spoilers for Creep 1. Creep 2, I'm not going to do any spoilers per se. There might be a couple things, but this is what I think about the movie, as spoiler-free as I can make it. In the second film, we follow Sarah, played by Desiree Akhavan. She's a young woman trying to create a YouTube channel called Encounters, where she basically goes and finds people with strange kinks, lifestyles, and all sorts of things, and just kind of immerses herself in it. It's just a lot of people with strange attitudes, strange hobbies, things like that, and she wants to put herself in that situation for her YouTube channel so she can show other people these alternative lifestyles. And basically she wakes up one night and she sees that her video has 9 hits, been there before, and just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, so she's going to make one more episode and call it a season and just be done with that particular channel. Whenever she goes online the next day, she finds an ad looking for a videographer for $1,000 for a single day's work, and she just decides she's going to check it out. And basically, she gets up there, she meets Aaron, who's actually been renamed from the first one. He took on the name of Aaron, who was Patrick Brice's character. And instead of giving you all this ambiguity about what he is, who he is, all of that, he just straight up tells Sarah, I am a serial killer. I've killed, I think he said 39 people. It was either 36, 39, somewhere in that range. And he just lays it all out there. He wants to talk about his design, his future as a serial killer, his boredom, his ennui towards this whole lifestyle, because he feels like he's kind of capped out what he can do. He's made so many videos, he's killed so many people, he's done it in so many different ways that it just doesn't feel right to him anymore. And basically, we see Sarah kind of not sure if he's lying or not. She wants this episode bad. She knows that this guy would be worth a lot of views and would really be good for her channel. But she can't tell how dangerous he really is. He's outright talking about how many people he's murdered with axes, with all sorts of other implements. And she decides to just kind of roll with it. There's some incredibly awkward scenes in this, and that's intentional. One of the most interesting things about this script, and this was actually said by the director who was at the film festival and talking about the film, is that Creep and Creep 2 were both made on about 15-page scripts. They had a few major points they were going to hit, but the rest of it is up to the actors, up to the people on set, and basically it's a lot of improvisation, especially with lines and all that. They have situations more than they have anything else. And the way Desiree and Mark Duplass, just nail it. They do so well at coming up with what feels like naturally but also creepy dialogue, and also kind of building up a bunch of different things to make more tension. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, where, it's just a different way of making a movie that gives you something that's a little bit more original and a little bit more natural in some ways than really perfect artificial dialogue. It's not for everybody. Not everybody likes that sort of mumblecore style. But in situations like this, especially whenever it's sort of a found footage style movie, I think it works out better to have non-choreographed lines like this. Put people in situations, let them use their acting chops to get through it and react to what's happening from the other characters. I really enjoy the way that they put that together. At this point, we see a lot of manipulation from Aaron and some counter-manipulation from Sarah. She's so game with a lot of the stuff that's happening here that it kind of puts Aaron off. Not in a bad way, but he's not used to people just diving in the way that she is. And it makes the interactions more interesting, and it makes it so that she's actually kind of an object to be admired by him. And in a lot of ways, he did that for Aaron from the other movie. But this one just felt a little bit different, like especially with his interactions with her at certain points of the movie. Once again, trying not to add any direct spoilers to this, but it makes for a very compelling story, especially between the two. If you enjoyed the first one, you have to see the second one. I would say that it's on the same level, perhaps even better in some ways. Maybe a little bit less scary because you kind of know what's coming, or you at least know what the characters are capable of, but it's really, really enjoyable. I had the pleasure of watching this with Patrick Brice in the theater, and he was able to talk about what it was like making this movie and how working with Mark Duplass is basically just working with this Aaron character. He pretty much stays that whole way the whole time, and it's hard for him to separate the two characters, like the real man from the character anyway. He also talked about how so much of this is just reliance on being able to immerse yourself in a scene and just go with it. He was originally going to be a documentary filmmaker, so I think that sort of authenticity in art is something that he was looking for. He didn't want to have it so crammed and so like just planned out that you really couldn't get into the movie, like a lot of found footage kind of pushes for. Like whenever there's too much dialogue in a found footage film that feels canned, it can really take away from it. And I'm not sure you could entirely classify this as found footage. It's definitely filmed with a hand cam, one angle, maybe a few security cameras if I'm remembering right, but I might not be. I saw a lot of movies this weekend, so there's a few things that kind of blur together. But also, like Patrick Brice just seemed like an awesome, nice guy. He's a giant. He's like 6'8". So it was just cool getting to meet him and see him talk about the movie that he put so much crafting and care into. So I would highly recommend Creep 2 if you've seen Creep 1. If you haven't seen Creep 1, you can pretty much get what's happening. Like, it might be a little bit jarring at the very beginning of the movie, especially because there is some violence there. But I think that you'd be able to enjoy this without seeing the first one, but I would recommend both. Thank you all for watching today. And thank you to the people at the Telluride Horror Show for giving me a media pass so that I could come down there and check out a bunch of videos. It was a really good time. It's a wonderful festival. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and check out our other stuff. We have gaming content, movie content, everything you could imagine on this channel, so definitely check it out. Hope you guys have a great